The early encounters with the Terminids were peaceful. They appeared to be large cow-sized pillbugs or beetles. Most of them fed on moss and dead plant materials native to the planets in the Terminid sector. The Super-Earth Scientist Corps in the Terminid sector soon discovered the Terminids produced chemicals in their bodies that could be used as a fuel source. This opened the Terminid sector to bug farming. Would-be farmers raced to the Terminid sector in droves. As with all farming operations, the race was on to breed a superior bug. Larger, more stable breeders were bred by farmers. Large, stable breeding stock tend to be protective and aggressive. Farmers addressed increased aggression by constructing larger and more heavily fortified pens. Farmers continued to breed larger and larger bugs. A large bug produced more fuel and therefore brought higher prices at market. Soon, farmers noticed abnormalities in their breeding stock. Overly aggressive breeds began developing large front limbs. Arms that had once been used to hold decaying plant material became sleek and scythe-shaped. It was only a matter of time before aggressive bugs began to injure the farmers. The very living the farmer had struggled to make would soon be his undoing. Lawrence Bell, reporter, New Galveston Times, Super Earth Press Corps.
We'd set down on a planet, and it would be this god-forsaken rock. But you'd see signs of plant life and some weird little animal creatures. It was obvious there was life all over the galaxy. We'd run across a farm, and it was obvious the bugs had been there. There would be blood everywhere, signs of a struggle, limbs and chunks of flesh everywhere. Then we'd find a dead bug here and there. Some poor bastard farmer had gotten lucky with his antique shotgun, and then we'd find the farmers that weren't so lucky. While we were scouting around, the bugs were waiting for us. Cadet Minerva Rice, Super Earth Ship Arbiter of Justice, Helldivers.
I'd been shipping down with squads of cadets, but they kept getting themselves killed. One cadet began picking flowers and fell into a chasm. The bugs, well, they live underground and they'll kill you on sight. They didn't even find enough to qualify for a burial. We just shunted his remains out of the airlock. Another cadet backed himself into a minefield. We were cleaning bits of him off our armor for hours. I began to volunteer for solo missions. I just couldn't stand to write another letter to family on why their kin wasn't coming home. We didn't need to fiddle with fuel depots or communications arrays. I just blew them up. Mission accomplished. And the only tail on the line was my own. Sergeant Terence Atkin, Super Earth Ship Dawn of Eternity, Helldivers.
In the early days of the war, the Science Council chose to send peace envoys to attempt to negotiate with the bugs. The bugs slaughtered all of the peace envoys. Next, they sent xenobiologists and semaphore specialists, thinking the flags would be seen as wings and they would attempt to communicate with the bugs. The bugs slaughtered all the xenobiologists and then grew highly agitated while trying to mate with the semaphore specialist. Finally, they sent politicians to attempt to appeal to the bugs' sense of compromise while offering a generous aid package. The bugs slaughtered all of the politicians. It should be said the bugs cannot be bartered with, cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bribed or otherwise coerced. The only thing the bugs seem to understand is the efficient application of brutal violence. My suggestion as a foremost surviving xenobiologist is to answer their savagery with equal and appropriate applications of violence. For this reason, the Helldivers are the perfect force for this task. Signed Dr. Timothy Ellington, Super Earth Science Corps.
We were given missions that they expected us to fail. Weapons that were not proven, equipment that was falling apart, and teammates that were scared shitless. You climb into your pod and it seals you tight. And then, holy shit! The floor drops out from under your feet and you fall. Seems like forever. And then, bam! The pod opens like a flower. You're standing there in front of God and creation, but you had your rifle. And then, the screaming and the dying, and the cadets asking me, "Chief, what do we do? Where do we go?" And you pick up your rifle, look those kiddos in the eye and say, "Kill them! Kill them all, divers!" And then I led them to their deaths, and some of them went home, but a lot of them died. Chief Rosemary Meeks, Super Earth Ship, Dawn of Freedom, Helldivers.
We sat down on this barren rocky planet and it was quiet. Sarge told us to stay quiet as we moved to a sandy valley 2 kilometers away. There are several rocky hills in the valley and then a small supply depot crawling with machines. Sarge had us use our jetpacks to climb up the backside of the hill. As word began to call in an airstrike to hit the depot, a fire tornado set down on the edge of the fence line like the very hand of God. The fire tornado rolled right into the base, burning all of the machines. Then the winds picked up and blew out the fires. There was nothing left but rubble and charred metal. Sarge called in the retrieval boat, and we extracted without firing a single shot. Cadet Warren Clifford, Super Airship Gauntlet of Audacity, Helldivers.
I was leading a squad of raw cadets as a buck sergeant on a fuel supply depot mission. The cadets were inexperienced but ready to fight. Then we made contact with the bugs in the hills above the depot. The cadets were scared, and half of them almost dropped and ran. But I held them together long enough to push them up into the rocks. Then we saw another squad approach from the south, but they didn't respond on the radio. The bugs slaughtered those kids without mercy. The only one that survived was a chief named Whitley. He fought those bugs single-handedly, and was holding his own. The cadet snapped out being scared and began giving the chief support fire until he could make it to the rocks with the rest of us. Chief said, "We have orders to destroy that fuel depot, Sarge. We're going down there to do it." And that was it. Those kids followed him to the depot. It was crawling with bugs. The EOD cadet began trying to configure the hell bomb to blow the depot. That kid couldn't activate the bomb, and the bugs began hitting even harder, like they knew what we were trying to do. We started to take our first casualty when Cadet Ives had a wounded trash bug fall on top of him. The chief picked Ives up and carried him to me. "Get these little bastards out of here," he said. Chief stayed on the bomb and fought off the final waves of bugs by himself. He activated the bomb. "Tell the Helldivers, Chief Whitley sends his regards." The whole place went up. We called in a Pelican and extracted. Chief Whitley was awarded the Medal of Freedom, posthumously. Today, every school kid knows the story of Chief Whitley now. Sergeant Melvin Taft, Super Earth Destroyer, Champion of Destruction, Helldivers Forces.
I've grown frustrated with my assigned squads. These cadets are often under-disciplined and careless at times. They have gotten each other killed with sloppy use of their weapons and casual disregard for safety of themselves and their teammates. I wonder, is this what has become of our beloved Helldiver forces in the face of such determined enemies? Then, we have cadets willfully go off orders to pursue their own goals while contributing nothing of value to the actual mission. I had a cadet leave the mission to gather scientific samples, only to find himself surrounded by automation forces and cut off from the rest of his squad. When we finally did get to him, the machines had executed him. As his squad leader, I had to explain to his family why he had been killed and why he was so valuable to the war effort. I couldn't tell the truth that he went AWOL to chase after scientific trinkets. I couldn't tell his family that he abandoned the rest of his squad and that we then struggled to complete our mission, or that we almost missed the retrieval boat to recover his body and remains. Sergeant Marcus Tyler, Super Earth Ship Guardian of Starlight, Helldivers.
As a technician, I was used to fixing weapons and armor, patching up the odd hole in the hull. "Fix this, techie," they would say. When the automatons attacked, suddenly, cadets would bring up pieces of the machine they had destroyed. These were living machines, amazing. But then I started to notice less and less of these cadets were coming back. Well, at least, coming back alive. We never seemed to lack bodies coming back from an automaton mission. The ones who came back were bruised, battered. Some of them couldn't stop crying or screaming. I would hide my head under my pillow at night, trying to drown out the sound of terror the Helldivers made when they came back from a mission. We all gave something to the war effort, but some gave more and some, they gave all. Technician First Class Donna Martinez, Super Earth Ship Will of Freedom, Helldiver support.
You went on a bug mission. You had them coming out of rocks and ground swarm to you. They were not overly organized, but if you were preoccupied with other mission objectives, or scared like most of my cadets, then they could get to drop on you. With the machines, they were very well organized and almost sniper level for shooting ability. You'd run across a patrol and you either hid or you prayed or you engaged them quickly before they knew what was happening. It sounds easy in theory. The reality was if the machines detected you, most of their squad would attack, with one calling in backup. What started with 4 to 6 machines could very quickly see 6 to 8 more drop nearby, and that assuming they didn't drop in armor or heavy machines. If you were lucky, you had a cadet that had some talent with a rocket launcher, and you'd send their drop ships right down on top of the original patrol, slicker than snot. If you were unlucky, you got shot in the forehead and spent your remaining moments being ripped apart by their runners. Killing bugs was just hunting big, dumb animals. But the machines, they were damned efficient. Master Chief Jericho Jones, Super Earth Ship Mirror of Truth, Helldivers.
The Super Earth government threw us to the wolves. They asked us ranchers and farmers to breed bigger bugs, make it worth their time. We did as they asked, and we got paid. Then, the Science Corps gave us a specific growth hormone to triple production. Soon, they started changing, from the big cows into more predatory monsters. They wouldn't be herd into their pens. They knew we were going to put them down. And they'd start putting out this gas cloud, and the other bugs would get all agitated. You'd hear about a bug stampede, but it weren't no stampede. Those bugs knew what they was doing. Then you'd hear about the bugs killing a rancher, going to the neighboring farms, and slaughtering the whole family. We'd ask the Science Corps for help. Deaf ears. They was using the fuel to start wars on the other side of the galaxy.
Then they told us it was our own greed and bug envy that caused the problem. Like they completely forgot they told us how to breed the bugs and how to grow them to size. The farmers and ranchers that complained were arrested real quietly. Neighbors were told they were automaton sympathizers and rebels. Very scary stuff, if you ask me. David Hill, bug rancher and feed supplier, Terminid sector.
I served as a medic aboard the Harbinger of Mercy in the Automaton and Terminid campaigns. That often meant I was patching holes, bandaging limbs, and helping the Helldivers recover from their injuries. When we fought the bugs, the injuries were savage and often lethal. Helldivers would come back mangled. Then there were the Helldivers the bugs killed. They were the lucky ones. No pain or suffering, just instant death. When we fought the machines, there were almost no injuries. The machines didn't take prisoners and would kill a Helldiver as efficiently as possible. This only served to anger the other Helldivers. They would turn back round after they mourned losing their friends and go back to slaughter as many machines as they could. They would bring back trophies, fingers, arms. One guy took the faceplate off a machine and wired it to the front of his helmet, glowing red eyes and all. Instant Section 8. As a medic, I fought with my fellow Helldivers. I felt the loss with them. They were my brothers and sisters too. I had to ease their suffering while they were dying, and hold their hands while they cried. I had to write letters to their family. I still have nightmares at night, thinking about those damn campaigns, those awful screams, the sobbing. I can get through what we were asked to do for democracy, but people need to know the cost and be respectful. Super Citizen Micah Greens, Super Earth Ship Harbinger of Mercy, Helldivers Medical Corps.
Dearest Mary, it seems like we never get a moment to speak. The war has kept me busy issuing orders, planning strategies, and coordinating the efforts. Our enemies are ruthless, cunning, and will stop at nothing to push us out of their occupied territories. The cadets are hardworking and dedicated to the cause. I could not ask to lead finer Helldivers than these men and women. Our ships and equipment. My apologies. I realize I should be attempting regular pleasantries as I know you are quite fond of them. My loving wife, I would be pleased if conflicts ended, and I could rush back to your loving arms. I know you are proud of the solemn duty I must perform, and that it fills your heart with pride, and that your husband is leading this noblest of efforts. I would expect nothing less of any officer's wife, but I am proud of you. Please extend my gratitude to our friends and family. Upon my return, I do wish to have a large family gathering. I hope one day our grandchildren will understand the great burden our democracy requires of us all to maintain freedom and liberty. Your loving husband, General Charles McClellan, Commander of Super Earth Forces, Terminid Campaigns.
We all chipped in for the war effort. I went to work at the munitions plant. Apparently, it takes a lot of bullets to kill a bug. I loaded and crimped rifle rounds until my hands ached, and then I loaded and crimped pistol rounds. If you weren't strong enough to put on the armor and carry a rifle, you fought in other ways. We all did our part. Christina Wright, Super Earth Munitions Factory, Seoul Sector.
When my Thomas first got the call, we stopped our lives so he could go to war. Everyone knows I am a fighter, but I was 6 months pregnant with Javier. I couldn't even fit into the armor. And then Thomas shipped out to the first bug planet, and then another and another. I was at home taking care of myself and the baby. Would Thomas even come home? Would he be wounded horribly like the other wives' husbands? How would I raise our son alone? Lupita Torres, wife of a Helldiver.
My father was only 19 when he was sent to Malevolon Creek in the Severance sector with the Helldivers. He returned thin, worn, and changed. Back then, he didn't have time for PTSD. He just sucked it up and kept fighting. I'm sure he was haunted by what he had done and seen. He turned to drink. When I was born, my father was a full-fledged alcoholic, abuser, and chronically unemployed. He died of liver failure at only 34 years of age. I still carry the scars he gave me, as well as mental and emotional scars. But I'm proud of what he did with the Helldivers. I loved my father,